I thought I'd do something a little bit different today and talk about what I carry in my backpack. A couple of people have been asking about how much it weighs, how much it weighs with water, how much it weighs without water, and so on. And I always think it's interesting to see what people actually take with them, particularly in my case, because we often stay in private rooms, but I have a particular setup for my sleeping. It might be quite interesting to show you, but also because I really have to put a lot of thought into things being ultralight, because I have a health condition. So that's really important that I try not to carry too much. But also because, well, I try out a lot of equipment. So the things that I've chosen are things that I find work really well for me. Having said that, I always end up taking extra things as well. So I just pick them up along the way, like little mini Elsid's chests in the case of the last Camino that I did. It was just one actually, but there was that, and there was a little book of Asturian myths that I picked up along the way. So things like that aren't really entirely necessary. So the backpack, I'll talk about this separately, but what I have is a Gossamer Gear. I always forget the name of the actual one. It's not the Mariposa and it's not the Gorilla. I think it's the G4-20, something like that. And it's not got a solid frame. It comes with a sit pad, and then I put another sit pad in this as well, because I find that just makes it sit really well on my back. But I'll talk about that slightly in a bit more detail probably at another time, because I've done various things to it to make it fit me well. So I'll tell you, first of all, the weight of it. With everything in, with some exceptions, it's 7.8 kilos, which is 1 stone, 3 pounds and 3 ounces. So that is with, I'll take these out first. I don't quite carry 2 litres in full. Normally these are Platypus 1 litre 34 ounce bottles. I find they're really good. I know some people don't like, there's a sort of seam of plastic down the side of them, which some people don't like, but I find once they're folded over, they're great. And because of this backpack, I can reach them really easily. I put electrolytes in them. Now that's something I can't show you in full because I used all my electrolytes when I was doing the Camino. I've only got 1 pack left. So what I weighed, I've sort of added a little bit on, because normally I'd have about 6 packets of, well, they're not really, they're tubes of Nuun electrolytes. I'll show you the one I've got left now. But if I go back and do a longer Camino, which I'm still considering, I'll have to carry even more. I found when I was, particularly the area around the Meseta where it was really hot, I was having to put, like in 1 litre of water, I was having to put more than 1 to really be effective, because I was getting dehydrated really quickly. And I was noticing my muscles kind of going into spasm at times. And when I started putting more electrolytes in, that stopped. So I was going through them more quickly. Andrew quite often carries some if I've got extra. And he also sometimes carries extra things, which I haven't allowed for in this. Like he takes the first aid kit and the sunscreen usually. So what have we got in here? I like Exped Ultralight bags. I find that for me, they just keep everything really separate. So in this, they're separate, but they're really easy to get out and they're tough. I used to use Ziploc bags and kind of freezer bags, and I find they rip and then you're left just, I like these. They're really good. And I have this in a waterproof bag because it's my down jacket. It has got hydrophobic coating on it. So it can actually get slightly wet, unlike most down. And it's the Haglofs less is more range. And I found, I didn't take this for the first section of the Camino, but I took it for the second section because I thought it likely that some mornings it would be cold and possibly some evenings if we were outside. And I used it a few times and it made a huge difference. And it weighs something like 90 grams. Not sure what that is in pounds, but it's very, very light. It's really good. It's an expensive jacket, but for me, that was worth it. So next, I have my sandals, which are the Birkenstock EVA foam Arizona. Why am I saying Arizona as though I'm in Arizona? Sorry. Arizona sandals. I think they're the narrow fit because the women's versions seem always to be, and I quite like the metallic silver. I've also got metallic copper. Not that I'm all that into girly stuff, but I think that if you're wearing something a little more like in the cities and so on, I just think it's nicer to have something that's a little more dressy, but they're not too in your face. And I find them really, really comfy. I wore my copper ones that I got for the first part of the Camino all through the winter here with wool socks on, like smart wool expedition, mountain expedition socks, the really thick type, and sandal. Because I have to have normally it's a bit of an arch support, not much, but a little bit. And I find they're great. They're better than slippers for me. So I usually keep those in a separate little, I haven't got an Exped bag or anything for them, but just an open freezer bag just to keep them separate, but something lightweight. And I put those toward the top of my pack normally. Then I've got this, and I try to minimize this because this weighs a lot. These are cosmetics, and I've got a little bag that I can take through the airport, so there isn't an issue with how many are in that. I'm just looking, actually, I've got some of the Nuun electrolytes in there. So I'll show you the Nuun electrolytes. Here we go. These are, I find they're good because they're not full of additives. The sweetener that they use, I don't like artificial sweetener. I find it gives me headaches. But these, I like the flavor. I find it's quite a refreshing flavor. I normally just drink water all the time, just plain water. And occasionally when I'm on the Camino, I have a beer at the end of the walk. Normally I find that actually helps with muscles and so on. But these I actually like the flavor. Andrew is not keen on it, so they're not going to suit everyone. But if you're used to flavored drinks, you'll certainly, I think, have no problem with them. And I find it's a reasonably natural flavor. It's quite tart if you use quite a lot of them, but if you don't, it's mild. This one's strawberry lemonade, and the lid has it has silicone inside it to stop them from getting damp, which I find helpful. And they're that size. And you get a lot of them in the tube. And I break them in half to get them through the neck of these. And that's another reason why I find these really good, because while I'm having a break or whatever, I can just take the lid off, pop one of these in, leave them standing on the table, and I'm not bothering with a water bladder that needs to go back in my pack and I can't stand up. And, you know, I would find that really problematic. So that system works well for me. The Nuun tablets. What else? I've got rubbish in here, really, so much stuff. A lot of this I would possibly have in different places as well, but this is still a lot of it left over from the airport. This is a little, I bought a pack of containers that you can fill with your own cosmetics and your own liquids, and this is a little spray which I put lens fluid in, and that I mentioned in one of the videos. It's largely because when I'm wearing sunglasses, which I need to in Spain, I can't stand when I get sunscreen like smeared on them, or I can't stand smears, but also I do use it for my camera as well. And I use that quite a lot more during this Camino. I realized, you know, getting rain on it, but there was one rain droplet, which I think I noticed for quite a while. There's nothing you can do afterwards. So that, what else have I got in here? Atrovine. I take a sinus spray with me when I'm on planes because I once had a lot of trouble with blocked sinuses when I was on, not trains, planes. One of my little luxuries is a little kind of super strong hair conditioner because my hair just, it's just a nightmare. It's really dry, and particularly if I'm in a humid environment, so I find a little bit, but it's like tiny little bit that I've used some of it obviously, but there's not much of it left. And I just use like a little finger's worth, and it makes quite a difference to me. And for the sake of that, I could lose that. What have I got here? Oh, something that I've collected along the way, refreshing foot cream. I believe I picked that up in Ledigos. I think it was left out on the bed, so I took it with me in case I needed it, and I've still got it. That's the sort of thing that I carry up mountains. I bought this because the masseuse in Ledigos, again, recommended that I get some massage, like a gel, basically, that has a cooling effect. So I went to a chemist while I was there and I got this one, which is the Polar. And I found it is good. Other people, I know, use Tiger Balm. Sometimes it's hard to spread that in quite the same way for a massage, but that I took for many days before I used it. I'm not sure that it's a necessary thing, really, but I carried that with me. Little thing of hand cream. I picked that up again along the way. That was in Fromester, that I bought that in the pharmacy because I was getting dry hands. And I also used that for my lips as well. I'm not going to kind of take a lip chap thing as well. Can't be bothered with that. But I used it a bit. Now this one, I bought this in... No, it's not this one, but I bought a similar one the first part of the Camino we did in Viana. On the day when we were walking to Logroño, I bought some super glue. And I had quite an experience trying to figure out the right word for super glue and ended up being told that the best word was just Loctite, which has always stayed with me. Loctite. They pronounce it Loctite, of course. Because my camera, the rubber on my camera was starting to peel away. Actually, speaking of that, I have that camera with me. Now, this is an earlier model. It's the the Canon G7X Mark II. And I ended up buying the Mark III, which has got the external microphone port on it. But this one is the one that I used to use. And this part here, I might talk about this again in some detail. There's a little rubber, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it. There's a rubber area here. And it started peeling away in the heat. So I bought some Loctite to super glue to fix that so that it didn't get any worse in time. But I found then, having that super glue, there were so many times that I found I used it. There were, in the last bit that we've just done of the Camino, I ended up using it on my trainers because the foam started to crack. There were just little things along the way that needed to be fixed, and actually having like a little thing of really good super glue, it sorted out quite a few problems. This, by the way, is the little black hole Patagonia hip pack that I used to take with me, but it's too small to fit basically that camera. And what I'm using now to record this has a tripod underneath it, which comes down to about here. And then on the sides, it would be on this side, there's an external microphone as well. And there's a plate underneath it to attach them both. So that's that. What else have I got? A cream. That is basically a cream for chafing. I started getting chafing on the backs of my heels and on my legs. And I was given that while I was in Spain as a way of getting on top of that. So I took that back with me. What else? Hand sanitizer. I normally have that in the hip pockets on my backpack, just because it's good to have it to hand during the day quickly. And then I picked up another little thing of condition. I picked up some of the tiny little hotel toothpaste because toward the end of the period that I was there, I was getting really low on toothpaste. I'll come back to the toothpaste in a moment. So that is the cosmetic bag. I was telling you about the weight, wasn't I? I didn't tell you in detail. The whole thing altogether is 7.8 kilograms, which is... Sorry, I've got it written down here so that I don't forget all these numbers. It's 1 stone, 3 pounds and 3 ounces. But that's with the water as well. So the water, I don't quite take a full 2 litres. I don't fully fill one, like each one normally. But it almost is full at the start of the day. So without the water, it's basically just this without the hip pack is 5 kilos. So that... And that's allowing for all the Nuun tablets as well. It's about 11 pounds. But what I do is I put, as you might have seen in my video, walking from Mansilla de las Mulas to Leon, we were playing Guess What I'm Carrying Around My Waist. I'd added some fruit on that occasion as well. But basically, I take this with me as well. And this has normally my camera with the microphone and the tripod, and I just whip it out really quickly all the time. And that's got batteries in it. Then I've added to it this little really small pocket monocular, which you can see it's quite dinky. And that is a bit of a luxury I found it was so nice to be able to just look at what the birds were rather than just seeing an indistinct silhouette that I couldn't identify. So that was quite important to me. In here also, I have a Swiss Army card. It's the, what do they call it? It's the nail card, Nailcare. Victorinox Swiss card Nailcare. And the reason I like that is because it doesn't have a knife, which means that I don't have to worry about how to get it through airport security. It can go on a plane, and I can, because I don't take a case or anything with me. But the scissors, basically that's all you need. I haven't found an occasion where I really needed a knife and not just scissors. And they're good scissors too. So that has on it screwdrivers, tweezers, a toothpick, a little magnifier, which actually, if you've got a splinter or you've got a blister or anything like that, it's quite good to have. A nail file and a pen. So that goes in there. I normally have my bank card in there. I haven't got that here, but I'm sure you can imagine a bank card. Camera batteries, which are like this. Camera SD cards, which are like that. And then in the back, I don't think I've actually got my passport with me today. I might have that in here though. I normally have that stowed away. This is a little container which I keep the splint that I wear at night. That hasn't actually been weighed. The splint isn't in it because I put it inside indoors. But I keep that in that. Another battery, which is a brand new one that I've never used. Another battery. I've got 2 batteries. Batteries everywhere. Yeah, passport. But I don't always keep that there. And then, like, lots of bits of... You know the little bits that you kind of collect along the way? What have I got? I've got, like, my entry to the Vista General for the Gaudi Bishop's Palace in Astorga. I've still got La Torre from Reliegos when we met Sinin at Bar Elvis. Lots of little things like that. I tend to put those in here. Got an extra carabiner, little gifts that I pick up for people along the way. I sometimes put like plasters or band-aids if you're in America. Things like that in there. You might have seen, I've got a little necklace. That's because Andrew bought it for me in Estella in a lovely little shop called Namaste. It's on the road that leads from, by the bridge, on the side of Hospital de Cortidos, the albergue where we stayed, towards the cathedral that's got the lift at the side. I can't remember what it's called, but the newer of the 2 cathedrals, I think, not the one that's in the centre of the town. And there's a little very nice restaurant that we ate outside, and a little sort of hippie shop called Namaste. So I bought that there, but the leather on it broke, and so the gentleman, Colombian gentleman, on the day that we walked to Osebrero, I got that out and I showed it to him and he fixed it for me. So I've still got that there because of that. And that's basically what I've got in my hip pack. But that on its own weighs 1.4 kilos, which is 3 pounds, 1.3 ounces when I've got my camera and everything in it as well. So that together with the backpack is 6.1 kilos, which is 13 pounds and 7 ounces thereabouts. So, and then when you add the water, it brings it up to 7.8 kilos, 1 stone, 3 pounds. One of the things I want also, not leaving out, this is normally in my hip pack there, which by the way, that's a Cotopaxi. I might talk about that again at some point. This is a Gossamer Gear little hip pack, which you can attach to anything, kind of belt or whatever. Gossamer Gear pouch. And this is the Cotopaxi, can't remember the name of it. It begins with a C. I don't think I'm going to remember, and it doesn't say on the thing. I'll look it up and put a note underneath for you. These are Montbell waterproof pouches, and I use them for my passport and for my credencial and anything else that's particularly important so that I know it won't get wet. What else have we got in here? Another little, these are Granite Gear pouches, and I like them because they're so slippy. They've got, they're not waterproof zips, but they're water resistant. And I'd keep my medication in this one, but they're all, I can look in my backpack and kind of, particularly if I shine a torch in, but I don't even need to do that. You can look for the color of the thing that you want. If I need my tablets, I just look for the blue one, but I usually just grab them, pull them out. I'm not worried about them breaking, and then I can put them at the side of the bed or whatever. I think probably if I end up going back and staying in albergues, I'll find that quite useful still, because I can still access what I need quite quickly. And they're not noisy as well. If you're staying in an albergue and you've got lots of people around that you're trying to not disturb, having something that doesn't crinkle. And this that I'm showing you next, again, can you hear that they're just, they don't make much noise. It's really silky sort of material. And as I say, these are the ultralight ones. I've got some of the Exped ordinary range that aren't ultralight, and they're quite a bit heavier. They're more substantial, I guess. If you're really going to be submersing things, maybe it makes a difference, but I mean, these are waterproof too. So I find they're great, but they're substantially or significantly rather lighter than the other range. This is my Therm-a-rest pillow, so I keep that in here. Again, I don't want it getting wet, but I want to be able to access it nice and easily. And that opens out like this. It's a good size. I'm going to have to, and it's one of the things that if I end up going back and doing the Camino, and I still don't know whether I'll do that. But if I go back and do it again on my own and stay in albergues, there are several things that I'm going to have to buy. I'll have to get, I think, a sleeping bag liner rather than a sleeping bag. I'm not sure whether I will want something a little bit warmer, but I would be there between August and September. So I guess a sleeping bag liner, perhaps one of the type that are designed for keeping moisture out, might be a little bit warmer as a liner rather than just a silk one. Anyway, that's something that I would need to buy. Another pillow, because of the way I sleep, I have to have something behind me. And when I tried sort of creating a pillow out of my clothes, I just don't take enough clothes to have enough. I don't really want to sleep on my down jacket because it would compress the down. So I think I probably need a super lightweight. Again, I'm looking at, I think Exped make really lightweight inflatable ones, so I might get something like that. And then, what else am I thinking I'll need? There's a list of things that I've got in mind. Sleeping bag liner, Exped, more Nuun tablets, pillow rather, more Nuun tablets. It'll come to a towel. I need a towel, yeah. Because normally, if you're staying in private rooms, you don't need to worry about things like towels. So this is part of the kit, and I kind of put this in before I put much else in because it has to go down the back of the backpack. This is the thing that converts my inflatable, it's not yet an inflatable mattress, the Therm-a-rest inflatable mattress, which you might have seen in my video walking from Burgos to Ordeños del Camino. It was the only time I used it. I carried this and my inflatable mattress the whole way with me, because this is what turns it into a chair, and because I have to sleep in a slightly raised position because of my health condition, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS. This is what turns it into a chair. It elevates it. So next I put in, this is where I keep just bits of underwear, basically. Little yellow bag for those. This, I don't know what I keep in this one. Let's see, I've got soap at the moment. Soap, blister plasters. I've got just sundry miscellaneous things, a shower cap. I quite often have that in my shower bag, but this is the one that I just dump. This is a thing for, I don't know why I took this. It weighs basically nothing. You can use it if you ever need to keep your hair out of your face. I thought maybe I'll use it for that. I can use it for tying stuff. I don't know why I took it really. You know, sometimes you get an instinct, like, do I take something or not? And it's like the night where you're packing or the day when you're packing, and you have this feeling that you're going to thank yourself in the future if you take that thing. That's what I took. I took basically a girly sort of hairband because I thought it might keep my hair out of my eyes and I might find a use. I never found a use for it. I just... No. It smells of the hotel that we were in because of the soap. Really nice. Right, so my inflatable mattress, which is a Therm-a-rest Neo Air. It's basically the lightest, almost the lightest one they do. I didn't get the absolute lightest one because looking at reviews of it, it seemed that people were more likely to have problems with it not being quite substantial enough. Like on a bed, it's probably fine. But then again, if you're in a hot weather or whatever, I thought it could, because sometimes with the air expanding, I have had mattresses burst slightly. And I think if I ever end up doing some camping, which we're hoping to do a little bit, I might be on uneven ground, and I just don't want to take the chance of spending almost £200 on an inflatable mattress that then bursts. That would be really bad. So that's a little bit heavier, but it's still really, really light, really, for what it is. It's not as light as I'd like, though, really. What else have I got in my goodie bag? I always take with me toothy pegs because as you know, I've got the problem with Ehlers-Danlos in my mouth. I had a lot of problems with my teeth when I was younger. And had a lot of work done on them. And if ever, and it has happened sometimes, if ever a tooth breaks or a filling comes out or a crown comes loose, I could have problems because my splint wouldn't fit anymore. So I have to be able to fix my teeth myself. And for that reason, I take a kit of toothy pegs with me, particularly because the cement for sticking a crown back in is very, very good, and I know how to use it well. So I always take that with me. What else have I got? Now, my shower bag. This is a lot more toothpaste than I would normally take with me. What I tend to do is like figure out how much I'm going to want for how long I'm going to be away, and I kind of decant the rest of it because I don't want to carry a full tube of toothpaste with me for the entire trip. So that would end up being a lot smaller than that one is. Then I have a comb. I don't take a hairbrush with me because there's just no point. A shower cap and a travel toothbrush. And they all go in, you know, it's raining. I was hoping to get a really nice day for when I did this, and now it's raining, but hey, everything's pretty waterproof. What else have I got? I have another one of these bags in which I have a travel dress, which is an Arc'teryx. Really, really nice travel dress. It's lightweight. Most people don't think of taking a dress, but the reason I do is because at the end of the day, when I've been really hot, wearing shorts and whatever, I just like having something which is like wearing almost nothing, as close to nothing as possible. And it's quite smart. So I take that with me, and it's really, really, again, I think it's 90 grams. It's very, very little. And then this one, which I normally put right at the bottom, is, or slightly up from the bottom. I try not to put too much weight at the bottom, actually. This is the one that's got most of my clothing on it. And that is normally 2 pairs of shorts, my pink pair, and my flowery pair, which normally I'm wearing one of them, but the last time, of course, I took the trousers that I'm wearing now. You can see these are Montane lightweight trousers. And so sometimes they would be in my pack because I was wearing the shorts. And then I take 2 vest tops. So I've got a black merino wool one and a Patagonia Ultralight, the lightweight Capilene Cool, which I really like. So they sort of just, I roll them up and put them in one of these Granite Gear. I think they're called Air Zippity bags. So I take those with me as well. Not doing the best job of packing them away quickly. I also have 3 pairs of Injinji toe socks. These aren't the socks that I started out the Camino wearing. I took, I think, 2 pairs of them with me, and then I had a pair of Smart Wool PhD. They're not called PhD, they're Light-Hike now, I think. But I found that these were better for me. I don't get on well with darn tough socks. I know some people do. I find particularly in the heat, I get a heat rash. Really quite a bad one when I wear darn tough socks. Don't know why. I find them really comfortable just around the house. Yeah, what else? Oh yeah, electronics. So that goes in the purple one. And I have my charger for my camera battery. And this is, because I ended up buying my new camera in Belgium, it's actually got a European plug on it, so I don't need to take chargers for it. And then I got, for my phone and for anything else that's USB, I have a little cable that saves on having to take the weight of the usual UK plug, and then an adapter as well. It's better just to plug it straight in. And very occasionally you find a hotel, of course, that has a USB socket in the wall. I haven't found that very often in Spain. And of course in albergues, that's not going to happen at all. I take with me this in a bag, a massage ball. It's a cork one. It's pretty lightweight. I think it's like 40 grams, something like that. Again, I'm sorry, I haven't got the conversion for ounces, but it's pretty lightweight. It's kind of like a tennis ball, but it's firmer than that. And I use it for just rolling out muscles on my legs, feet, sometimes, whatever. And I find it's quite effective. I quite like the foam rollers, but obviously I can't take the foam roller with me to Spain. What else have I got? Packet of masks. Face masks. Okay, and that is everything that is in the main compartment of my backpack, which I'll try to show you the main compartment. It's a nice size. It kind of goes all the way. But one of the nice things about this particular backpack is that this is a huge pocket. You can get a massive amount in it. What I tend to do is I stick a poncho. This is the one I've been using. So I stick that in the front. When it hasn't rained, it's nice and neatly folded. I have got another poncho around here somewhere, which, this quite often, the one I haven't been using, tends to go inside the backpack normally, but it's on the outside because this one I'd actually taken out and I've just put it in to show you. So yeah, poncho. And then I tend to have my lightweight fleece. This is a mountain equipment, forget what they call it actually, but it's a mountain equipment, the lightest one they do, and it's the one with the hood. Andrew has the same thing, but his hasn't got the hood. And at some point I might talk about the different fleeces that I've got, because when I'm at home I use a different type. But what I will say with this is it's fantastic. It really keeps you warm. It weighs very, very little compared with most fleeces. It's like, the one I'm wearing now is the Patagonia R1, just the zip. This weighs about half of it, and there's not a noticeable, this is a bit warmer, but there's not a massive amount in it. And if you're active, this is actually even better, I think, in some ways, at just keeping you at the right temperature when it can get quite warm. So I tend to wear that quite a bit in the mornings. I put it on, and in the evenings. But one thing that is a problem with it, I don't know whether you'll be able to make out. See if I do it that way. It gets these little holes. You see there, the little sort of holes that it's got in it, and they've sort of just appeared all the way down, and it's happened on Andrew's as well. So that is something to bear in mind. He's got the navy blue one and it shows a little more obviously on his. Mine, I love it, I'm going to keep wearing it, but I guess maybe it's a trade-off, that because it's a thin type of lightweight fabric and there's nothing obvious that I'm snagging it on, so I don't know really why that happens. Unfortunately, I have been having a mask like easier to hand so that I can just get to it if I need to. I normally have my shell on my backpack, so, but I've taken that off now. Andrew leaves his on because we haven't finished the Camino. Mentally, he feels like he's still on his way. It's still part of the journey. For me, I have to make a distinction between when I'm actively doing the Camino and when I'm not really. I take a buff with me, which I often wear in the mornings. I bought this one in Camino Teca, which is in Pamplona on the way up to the cathedral. It's on the left, just before you get to the cathedral. So I take that with me, and I normally just stick that in the outside. And then I have these wonderful little wrist warmers that my mum bought for me from Anglesey, Welsh Island. And I find that some mornings, this last time, like the morning in particular, I think of wearing them, was when we were leaving Ares and walking to Burgos and going up that hill out of Atapuerca. I was so grateful for these because it was just a bit chill, and I get really numb fingers very easily. And it can be quite hard to stop them from going completely numb, but these really helped. That and just being active, trying to keep moving. So that all goes in the front compartment, and other things that I need quick access to I put in this front compartment. And then the other thing that I initially hadn't packed in my backpack, but I've since realised the error of my ways is my, guess what this is? This is, in fact, my sunglasses. And the reason that it looks like this is because I took them in a lightweight little pouch. And they're actually really, really good sunglasses. They were a Christmas gift. Hang on, if I can actually get them out. What's going on with them? There we go. They are Serengeti sunglasses and they're polarizing. And I have this, I find it's best because if, like, you know, you got to take them off and you've got loads of stuff and you, like, maybe I've got the camera, I don't want to be putting them down, so I use this. But I found that although this is lightweight, they were getting crushed, and like, I'd put them on and found that they were out of shape. Actually, when we arrived in Madrid this last time we were over in Spain, I went to an optician's and got them to kind of get them right for me again because they'd gone all crooked. So I think sunglasses and glasses, actually, I mean, a lot of people must be carrying quite heavy glasses cases on the Camino. And it's difficult because it you know, it weighs. You have to have something that gives it some protection from getting bent. And what I came up with was basically cutting a smart water. That's the one. A smart water bottle, and it fits quite well in there. And it just gives it, I mean, it's lightweight. It gives it a bit of extra protection from like just being banged around. I normally put those in the front pocket of my backpack so that I can get to them really easily. The same with this cap as well. This is Sunday afternoons, really lightweight cap, and I love it. It's really just for hotter weather. I never used to wear caps, but I find that they're so good at just cutting out the glare. I mean, I like to be able to see the sky, so I always thought, why would I want to wear a hat? I didn't really understand, but I find I see a lot more clearly with that bit of shade. And Andrew was a convert when he got his hat that he chose in Carrion de los Condes. He wasn't too happy about being forced into buying a hat. But it's difficult. Part of the trouble for him is that his forehead, if he puts sun cream on it, the sun cream starts to drip into his eyes and he gets a really bad eye reaction to the sun cream. So actually a hat is a good solution to that. And he did in the end think that buff hat that he got, which was the really lightweight buff one, it did keep him cooler. He was surprised by that as well. He doesn't like the feeling of having something on his head. Let's see what else. Then I have these hip pockets, which are really good. The one on the right, I always put my phone. That's not actually my phone because I was using my phone to note down the weight of things. That's somebody else's phone, which is the same type. So I always put my phone in that pocket so that I can get to it on my hip. I leave it sort of slightly open, but not so much that it will fall out if I start like running, which I did once. The day going to Logroño from Los Arcos, I ran down 2 hills, and on 2 occasions, probably ran down more than 2 hills actually, but on 2 occasions I had my phone fall out of my pocket, and on one occasion I didn't realise until I was quite a way ahead. Unfortunately, somebody had like picked it up and was asking about whose it was. So I make sure I keep that quite well zipped, but my phone goes in there and I get to it really quickly. And then on this side, I have normally tissues and wipes and a head torch, which is my little Petzl bindi. That is really, really lightweight, quite powerful. It's rechargeable by USB. And some headphones, earphones, which I used it, I think, once, and it was mostly because I knew that family might be sending me voice notes, because we do that through WhatsApp, and I wanted to be able to listen to them, but also just listening to Spanish things and so on. What else have I got in here? I did carry my stone for the Cruz de Ferro in that side pocket. At one point I had a flat peach in there. I put all sorts of miscellaneous things in there. So I think that's almost everything, really. Other things. Well, one thing actually is, yeah, if I take this zip pad out, this is like, these are brilliant. I mean, we do quite often around here, we use these. I take that out. There's still the zip pad that it came with in here. I'm going to explain these to you in a moment. But, you know, both of us use these for sitting on. I didn't really think it was necessary because, you know, just sit on the floor. But there are times here in the UK, certainly, and on the Camino as well, where it's just a bit complicated to sit on the floor because there might be thistles or nettles or, you know, whatever reason, it could be dirty. I took a little journal with me, and what I did was I put it in here, and then that keeps it flat. So I ended up, and this is what these are as well, any paperwork I was actually putting against my back. And with this on top of it, the airflow wasn't really affected. It wasn't like the paperwork was stopping, like causing my back to get sweaty or anything. And it's just a really good way of keeping that between the two sit pads, keeping papers flat, and actually nobody can see them as well. I did, when I found the clover, you remember I found some 4-leaf clovers on the way up to Febrero, and I put them in my journal to keep them flat and to press them, and that was in here in the back of my backpack, and it pressed them brilliantly. They're now dried and they look really good. So I think that is everything I have to show you. If you want to know more about any of it, do just send me a message. I'm really grateful to those of you who've been just commenting and keeping in touch, and certainly subscribing. If you can subscribe, I really appreciate it. I'm kind of hoping that, I don't know, that there's a point to all of this, beyond my trying to write, and I'm still trying to figure that out, as I mentioned in my last video about kind of post-Camino thoughts. Don't quite know where I'm up to with that, but I might end up going back. And if I do go back, and this is something I might talk about separately, but if I do, I don't know that I'm going to film it in the way that I have been, because I might do some short videos of a different type that maybe won't be quite as overproduced. I don't know, but I think maybe I need to go back and do it in a kind of more, I get a bit addicted to the camera, to just showing everything and you know, and talking about it. And I think if I go back on my own, it might be quite important to just be reflective and really do it in a kind of more serious way as a pilgrimage, and show it respect in that way. But having said that, I mean, what I've done so far has really been taking it seriously as well, and I've loved it. So, and I don't want to undermine that, but at the same time, I am also thinking that I will be actively writing, possibly using some dictation software, which I've been trying out recently. So I might actively write as I walk. That's my current thinking. And also I might not. I might stay here and just write from here instead. Nobody knows yet. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed seeing my things which are getting totally drenched. Are they waterproof? This is actually pretty waterproof so far. I wouldn't say these are submerged. This is wet on the outside now. Don't know whether you probably can't see too well how wet that is, but is it wet on the inside? Not yet. No, everything is still dry. So I shall show you what this looks like, all laid out. Let me know what you think. If you've got any questions, I'd be keen to hear.